Good morning, YouTube. 10:08 a.m. 12/16/2020. Um, some's going to see this as relative to what's going on now. Okay, when it comes to dealing with our computers. Okay, and I've said this before in some of my other videos, and people can believe me or they don't have to believe me. I'm not Edward Casey either. I'm not some sleeping prophet. No prophet. Don't walk on water. I just know things sometimes without knowing why I know them. Okay? Pondering around in this whole thing up here I call a brain. And I've seen this has happened to me off and on throughout my life, and I didn't pay attention to it till after my heart attack. And I guess I had more time to bounce around in my own head other than the fantasy world we call life now. Okay? Okay, I want to start a story. And people can prove me wrong if they wish. But please don't come at me with a bunch of technical babble that you was able to remember and regurgitate, because that's not going to prove anything. All right. The early origins of our internet was called ARPAANET. Okay. It was online in 1969. Okay. In these years that it was online, okay, you also got to remember when it comes to dealing with our government, okay, I would say it was probably online, probably 1958, okay. That's going back enough time to say that it may have even been around before then. Okay. The whole time that the ARPANET was being developed and run, and they was talking to each other, I found holes in their history on Wikipedia, Google, things that didn't make no sense. Okay. For any of y'all that wants to do some digging and or some research, y'all might see what I'm coming at or coming from. Okay. And another thing I found questionable, I'll get into that here in a minute. Up until then, ARPANET can not nowhere in history that I can find ever had any computer virus. Okay. Now, to say this. Okay. John McAfee here recently got, my understanding, thrown in jail for tax evasion. All right. The people that's been following John remembers the time that where Costa Rica, I think, he ran from the United States. The reason he ran from the United States, and it's not being talked about, this is one of these things that I know without knowing why I know. Okay. And usually when I know these things, if they're to be proven wrong, um, grant anybody the ability to do so. Okay. Because it'll fill in a whole lot of time blanks. Okay. Mr. McAfee, when he created the McAfee antivirus, all right. Smart man. Okay. Being that he had to start off and regurgitating what he's learned and putting it to a principle to where he could create, okay, he started finding holes. And it was probably, at first, was baffling to him, and he put it off to the side. But anybody with an analytical mind or logical mind that creates such things, sometimes they put stuff on the back burner, but the whole time be thinking about it as they're working. Okay. what he had discovered, okay, and like I said, anybody wants to prove me wrong, prove it, okay. You have an individual out here that his name is Gates. We know who, you all know who I'm talking about. The one that's running around trying to play doctor right now, okay, with everybody's lives and the vaccine. Okay, he found out that Mr. Gates and everybody else that was running around were the ones that paid attention. He knew, okay, that these viruses and antiviruses was being made pretty much at the same time, just like the individual that created the radar gun. Okay, he created the radar detector as well. Okay, it was a closed door session of money. Okay, once the internet was released and launched, they had to figure out ways of making money from it. Okay, what better ways of making money from it when all of a sudden you get this virus called a creeper system in 1971. Okay, now remember, up until then, supposedly ARPAANET 1969, there wasn't no viruses, none that I can find. Okay, so creeper system would fill up your hard drive, and it'd be non-functional. But being that at the time none of us out here but a few understood how to wipe and reformat your hard drive to get rid of the creeper system. Okay, the MS-DOS, okay, attacks was called the Brain. It came out in 1986. Two brothers. I think one was 14, one was 20 something. Okay, the father of the PC virus was a von Neumann's. Okay, now I got a question about. I'll spell it for you. Neumann'. Who out there knows anybody that has a last name that has to use a apostrophe S? There's some kind of secret in that. Don't know what, but it just I'll use a movie term. The spidey senses went off when I seen it. I'm like, okay. Being that a Maccabee knew, he threatened them all. Okay. He seen that what he was creating or had already created, and he was advancing in it. I think at the time they couldn't have him going rogue. So when he went to Boca Raton or wherever the hell he was at, that was inside sources of hitmen, okay, trying to kill him before he released the information. People can say or do whatever they want to do. Well, the news said this, or that was this, or that was this. Remember your sources when you start thinking that way. The whole time we've been being lied to for at least, I don't know, 5, 6 generations. And it got worse after Barry Santero was in office and signed his little EOs to the news reporters to spread propaganda. It was legal again. No, it wasn't never illegal. It helped them wiggle out of the bullshit when it come down on their head. That's what he helped. Okay. What was the name of the internet? That's ARPANET. That was the first name of it, supposedly. I think it was something else. I'd seen some kind of history channel on it and hackers. It was called something else, but until it got released to the public, the military was using it all over the world. Okay. and they didn't have viruses. The ARPAANET had no viruses. It had some glitches time to time, mainly due to phone lines and easily accessing them and tapping into them, and people able to pull the information out as it was being streamed through the line. There was some issues with it that way, but it never had no computer virus. Now, y'all got to ask yourself now, 2020, okay? We have these VPNs, and something smacked me in the back of the head when I started trying to think, which VPN do I want? And I was falling right in line with the rest of the sheeple, okay? So something stopped me and told me, said, look, it's not what you think it is, okay? I'm not dug into it deep enough to really see, okay? Other than it finally started coming to me because you can physically change your IP address in your computer through the settings in Windows. So we need something automated to do this, okay? What started kicking me in the nuts about it was, you got to think, okay, this thing changes your IP address to another country to keep you masked here. All right. Now, these other countries, I've seen China on there. I went and looked to see the list of the so-called IP addresses. Okay, we have China, we have Russia, we have many Middle Eastern countries, and all of these countries that I speak of has a way to block information from their people. Okay, so all of a sudden, the same VPN, the same IP address is open to us to see or use any information in the world, but they don't have the same technology. You might want to think about that. It's going to block their news and their truth, but we can use the same IP address that they use to find the truth in the news and the truth. Me, I've been using for years, and I had an individual, a friend of mine, um, pretty smart fella. Um, his code name was Lucky, okay? And Lucky was one of these type of people that geeked out on being a geek, okay? Somewhat of an avid hacker and pretty good at it at times. He finally got kind of shut down on 9/11 because he was zooming in and out with a government satellite, okay, on tops of buildings in New York. And they traced his IP back to him. He was so excited that he was doing it. He was sitting there when they come knocked on the door and was using his mouse to move, zoom it in and out. He was having a ball just doing that when the men in black come knocking on his door. Well, they ended up taking his 2 notebooks that he had done wrote with all his hacks and all his other stuff in them and warned him, took his hard drives, pretty much shut him down. It took him, I think, 4.5 hours and he was back up running, and he was trying to cloak himself behind things. And he hadn't done anything no more than any other good hacker had done. Okay, but what they didn't look for, and I guess at the time they wasn't savvy enough to figure it out. He had a remote server connect to his computer, and it downloaded all this stuff. And he was showing me pictures of him zooming in and out of old top of buildings in New York on 9/11. And neither one of us was sitting there thinking about it, but I'm sure later on he may have thought about it, that he may have had something in it that may have showed some bullshit. But anyway, um, let's see. Okay, we know who owned it, and we know the first virus name, and we know when the first virus shows up, and we also got to remember too that it was an Apple computer, because that was the main brand name for the uh, general public, the ones that could afford one of them damn things. Um, you also got another place to go dig around for all this to start seeing the bigger picture is the patent company. Um, I just typed it into Google and asked Google how many patents was there on viruses, computer viruses. Thousands, thousands. Okay, if it's something malicious and for ill intent, how is it that they can get a patent on something like that? And why would they need a patent on something like that? Because most genius hackers are somebody of that's bored but smart and can sit down and code their own virus or use an algorithm or a pattern or another sequence of numbers from another virus to create their own. So what are they going to do? Sue some 10-year-old if he breaks their code by using part of their code language? Like I said, VPNs is not what people think they are. Okay, it's supposed to be another layer of security. Now, all these are Treasury Department gets hacked the other day, and it ties back to the wonderful voting machines. This is why that I think what I'm saying here now is relevant to what's going on. What's relevant now on what I was talking about from years back. Okay, John knew. John seen it. John seen what they was doing. They had buildings, and military calls it departmentalizing. I think that's how you say it. I'm probably wrong, but okay. Say there's four-story building. All right. Starts off on the bottom. The individuals that's doing their code work and creating whatever, they don't even know what they're fucking creating. Okay, they've been given a bullshit scenario. That's what they believe because they work for the people. All right. Next level up, floor 2. They take the information that's already been given to them from floor 1, not knowing that it's from floor 1, okay, and start adding to it. Floor 3, same thing. Floor 4 is the finished product. Okay, Norton's antivirus, a McAfee, uh, all this other bullshit. Think of the money that's been made ever since the first creeper system, 1971. Okay, I should have looked that up and I didn't. When was the first antivirus put out on the market for us consumers to consume? I'm just letting y'all know that this goes back many years, always. Every damn sure always does. And they finally busted McAfee on tax evasion because, like I said, they was trying to kill him down there. The reason being was he was about ready to drop a truth bomb on the world, okay, They couldn't have it. We've got a lot of people involved throughout the world. Okay. It could have been a hit team out of Russia. We don't know. But he knew what he knowed. I think it finally dawned on him what was going on. And like I said, for anybody to believe any otherwise on what I'm trying to say, that's up to y'all. Well, it's just an opinion. Okay. But these, like I said, I know things sometimes in my life without it having an understanding why I know. Okay. Like I said, I'm not Gacy. I don't walk on water. I'm not no prophet. For whatever reason, the Lord's put it into me to give me clues and hints and guide me through this world in ways sometimes that a lot of people find strange. Okay. I don't explain this to a lot of people in my general surroundings because I don't want to spend days trying to figure out how to phrase it to them for them to understand it because I already do. But anyway, that's my Corona mask. You don't like it? But anyway, y'all can go look up the list. It's on Twitter. Go find Code Monkey. Okay? He's put the list out there of all of these places that's tied to the same damn software. Okay, now I heard the same thing in the early parts of this. I think it was the fourth or fifth of this was tied to everything. Banking systems, businesses. Okay. I think I put a video out regarding to this where I left some people some comments, whether they was paying attention or not, don't know. But these same vulnerability software, that's what I call it, is in mass companies, period. I mean, we're talking CVS's, we're talking about banks, we're talking about security places, we're talking military, we're talking our government, we're talking everything that deals with a computer somewhere along the lines. Okay, this program. Okay, and I do believe Mr. Maccabee was going to snitch on everybody because he's seen the potential of the whole world getting screwed. Okay, I believe this was the secret that got him almost killed. Okay, he may have signed some NDAs, I don't know, to keep his mouth shut about it. Okay, he ends up on a yacht with his wife, pretty black lady, and running for the last 2 or 3 years out there in international waters because that's the only place he really felt safe. He would get close to ports and stuff, and I think he had a staff with him that hung out with him and his wife, and they'd go pick up groceries and different things, and they didn't divulge who they were and what they was there for, other than groceries or bullets or whatever the hell he needed. But these are one of the things, like I said, I know without knowing why about something. Okay, I've also had things answered to me about technologies that I've tried talking to the so-called engineers, the educated idiots, and I've laid it out for them, drawn it out for them, and every fucking thing else. And another fellow I was watching on YouTube. Now this man's disappeared. The last place that he was going to China okay, to get something built for the last phase of what he had, okay. It was basically a control box. It looked like a stereo receiver, and the motor that he had done come up with was no bigger than a paint can, okay. Once you started it, it ran forever. He was giving it at least a 25-year runability. Plus, when you could buy the blueprints from him and build it yourself, and he gave you a list of like to go to get the stuff and put it together for yourself, or you could buy the engine for yourself already built and ready to go. The last part of it was the control system for it, and he showed time and time and time and time and time and time and time again it actually working, running his house, his garage, okay. And the only time it ever shut off is when you stopped it. Up until then, he gave it at least a 25-year life, okay. He figured that was a good, he said the way it was designed and put together, it was probably a good 100-year life. But he said he had to come up with a reasonable life period for the thing, and he figured 25 years was reasonable. And then when you bought the parts, he told you which parts to buy double of just in case it ever went down. Or you bought it off of him and bought the extra parts just to put back on the shelf somewhere so if it ever went down. And we're talking about something the size of a paint can running your whole damn house, okay? And he was even showing people, he was taking receptacles apart, light switches and different things, showing with a AC current tester. I've got a few of them myself. Showing it's hot. He'd wet both fingers, okay, both hands, for it would complete a circuit for the people that know. And he'd grab in wires. He wasn't getting zapped, he wasn't getting shocked because it was dealing with frequency only. But it would pick up the frequency on the AC tester because the AC tester deals with frequency. But now he's disappeared. But anyway, I didn't really want this to last that long or this long. But I'm letting y'all know what we're seeing and hearing that seems new and irrelevant to history. No, it's not. The same bullshit that we're hearing now, okay, started a long time ago. But McAfee knows it. So, at least I think he does. I can't swear to it. The only person who could tell me, no, I've got it wrong is him. I know that too. But I don't think I'm wrong. Being we got a software now that's got a vulnerability known as a backdoor, okay? That's why I laugh at people with crypto, okay? You do as you wish with your own money. Oh, it's wonderful. It's better than sliced cheese. Until they flip the switch. Then your bread's got no cheese because you can't get to it. Power outage go out. They decide they're going to lock the door one day. You can't access it from the outside because they cut their shit off. It's all digital. Then too, say you got $1 million worth of crypto, okay? All of a sudden, your crypto's going up one day, okay? Now all of a sudden, you go check it. So why the hell? Why is there 10,000 of my crypto missing? You got to try to ask them what's going on. They can't tell you. Why? Because it's in the market. It's digitally made. It's digitally killed. It's unhackable. Remember, that's bullshit too. know better than that. It's just like all this bullshit about all these so-called unhackable uh, computers and this quantum. Okay, quantum so fast, according to most people, it would be hard to hack. Okay, but see, here's what people failing to realize: there's nothing unhackable. Okay, if they're telling you this, they're lying to you. Okay, there was a famous ship called the Titanic. It said it was unsinkable. What happened? Okay, you're dealing with a computer. Well, it didn't jump up and create itself. It didn't turn all the screws in by itself. It didn't set all the chips in by itself. It didn't put the RAM in. It didn't put the hard drives. Okay? Human beings. Now, these things has got to be maintenance, just like ours. Up there, updates, firmware, all this other bullshit. That's called backdoors, but it's unhackable. Okay? Fine. Maybe for us, but what if all of a sudden this technology gets out and each one of us has got a quantum laptop sitting on our damn desk? Hmm. Now we have the same matching tool, okay, as theirs, just like everything else. And all of a sudden, some 10-year-old comes up with a massive attack, turns it loose in the quantum computer systems. Man better get away from his own stupidity. Like I said, I didn't mean for this to drag on this long. I ain't on here bitching, but I'm also, like I said, I know somehow I know things sometimes. Like I said, I've had things answered to me. I call it that small voice in the back of my head. Some people call it God. It could be God answering me. I'm not going to say no about it because I am a believer in God. I'm not a believer in religion, but I am a spiritual person, and I do believe that we do have a maker. We didn't come from an amoeba. We didn't come from a fucking monkey. Sorry. But anyway, peace to all y'all. I hope y'all find this a scratch your brain moment or a laugh moment, whatever puffs your Twinkie, so to speak. All right, peace to all y'all.